what's funny is I don't know what's normal. I don't know. Like, I'm like, well, people tell me it's normal to be sad, but how sad? And if I'm happy at one moment, does that mean I'm okay? Because there would be days where I'm like, I'm fine. And then there would be days where I wasn't. I was absolutely not fine.
You're listening to the MILF Podcast. This is the show where we talk about motherhood and sexuality with amazing women with fascinating stories to share on the joys of being a MILF. Now here's your host, the MILFiest MILF I know, Jennifer Tracy.
Hey guys, welcome to MILF Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Tracy. This week on the show, we have Christina Grance. And it was such a treat to go to her home and sit in her backyard where the birds were chirping. It kind of felt like we were in a Disney movie. And we talked about pole dancing. Christina was my first pole dancing teacher. I legitimately thought I was in love with her. And we also talk about crotchless panties. I hope you enjoy the episode. And thanks for listening. Hi, Christina.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. It's my absolute pleasure.
Well, I should say thank you for letting me be here because we're in Christina's beautiful Southern California backyard, and there's little birds chirping, and she has several fruit trees. Are those grapefruits or lemons?
No, that's a lemon tree.
That's a lemon tree. Those lemons are huge.
They are gigantic, and I don't know how we made that possible, but yes, they are huge.
Wow. It's just so peaceful back here.
Thank you.
There's so many things that I want to talk about with you today because I kind of worship you a little bit. Which is no secret. You know that. I want to start actually, because it's how I know you, I want to start with pole dancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a pretty delicious way to start.
Yeah. Just to give our listeners a little bit of backstory, I started taking pole dancing about 5 years ago, and Christina was my first teacher. I didn't know how disconnected I was from my own sexuality and my own, what we call in our dance community, my erotic creature. And I say this often, and I've told this story before, but when Christina was my teacher, I was in the middle of kind of realizing my marriage wasn't working, and I was a little lost. And then on this discovery of my body and my sexuality and through the movement of this dance form with women only. And I would come to class and watch Christina move and watch her teach us and watch her do the movements. And I really did think, am I gay? Because I would, and I'm not being glib or anything. I really did, because the way that I would watch you move and the way that you were so grounded in your body and your movement and your sexuality and your sensuality for yourself, not for the other women in the classroom, not for a man. It was just for you. And you were that model for me, the first model ever of a woman truly embodying that in a deep, personal, rich way. And I really did. I remember telling a couple friends, I was like, I think I'm in love with my dance teacher. But ultimately, to spoiler alert, I was in love with you on a platonic level, and we became very close friends. And that awakening helped me become in love with my own sexuality, my own body. But so tell me a little bit about how you came upon pole dancing.
Thank you for that. And I just have to say that I had the exact same experience with my first teacher.
Really?
Yes, I just remember watching her move and just being speechless and just obsessed with her.
Yes.
And I took it with a friend, and afterwards would be like, oh my God. And then when she did this, and then when she did that, and so I think we all have that experience actually with our first teachers.
Interesting.
But I got started, I don't even remember. It might be 11 years ago now. And I had seen it on Oprah, and I had seen Terry Hatcher on Oprah talking about it. And she was doing what's called a hip circle, and she was having so much fun. And I remember my mom was actually watching it with me, and she goes, you should do that, Christina.
Your mom did?
She did.
I love that.
She totally did. I know. I don't think she even knew what she was really.
Sure.
She just thought it was fun, but I was definitely so excited, and I was so excited by whatever I thought she was feeling. It just seemed so juicy and fun, and I didn't actually end up taking class for a few more years, but I had looked it up. I had been on the website. I, had been like stalking it for a little while. And it wasn't until I went through like my first like real love breakup, that was just like this catalyst to change in my life, that it was the kind of propelling to go take a class and just do something that was going to be fun and make me feel good when I was feeling, just at that time, depths of despair. It's funny now because I say it and I'm like, oh God, what was I so upset about?
Well, but how old were you? I mean, let's put it in perspective.
Yes,
how old were you? 20?
I must have been 23.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So like everything is just.
Of course, it's a different emotional experience when you're that age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to minimize our 23-year-old listeners, but we're just saying like things change and the weight of things shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you mature.
Yeah, and you don't have the tools.
Yeah.
You just don't. Everything is life or death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a breakup. You find yourself in this class.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens?
And then I remember the first time taking the class and just feeling like it was so right. Like I was moving my body and it was physically hard and I was tired, but I felt on fire. I felt just juicy and alive and like the light switch had been turned on. And I would walk out of the class and, it'd be like 12 o'clock on a Monday in LA. And I'm like, who wants to do something? I love that.
We need a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Who wants to do something?
Yeah. I was like, it's time to just, I don't know, let's get crazy. I just felt like so plugged into life. And
empowered.
Empowered. I felt excited. I felt juicy. So that
Define juicy for me and for our listeners. That's such a great, I know what it means.
Yeah.
But
for me at that time, because juicy has changed for me, but at that time it felt like anything could happen. I was in a place of like, I'd say yes to anything. Like who wants to go drive across the country? Yes. Who wants to just go have lunch and have a glass of wine in the middle of the day? Yes.
Crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that
Sure.
to being, but just feeling, I think life can sometimes feel so heavy. And particularly, I guess I have more of a disposition towards that, of feeling like bogged down and tired. And for me, I felt excited about life. So juicy felt like truly anything could happen. So an excitement. In my body, it just felt loose. There wasn't as much tension.
Yeah.
It felt like walking through the grocery store and being excited about peaches,
Your sensories, all your senses were heightened and awakened in a sober state of mind.
Absolutely.
And yet it was through this movement. And I also want to just touch on this because it came up yesterday. I ran into, speaking of the grocery store, I was in the grocery store, I ran into two girlfriends of mine. And one of them said, "Are you still pole dancing?" And I said, "I am." She said, "I'm ready. I want to come." And she said to the other woman, "You have to come too." And the other woman said, "Nope. I can't. It's too, I see it and I am happy for the women that it empowers, but it doesn't feel good to me." And what I was going to bring this back around to is that when cutting back to you at 23 in the classroom, I know for me, I was much older when I started. I was 38 when I started, but the reason I was able to tap into that safely was because it was all women. It had nothing to do with the male gaze other than in my mind's eye, if I wanted it to be. So can you speak to that a little bit about it just being a female in this particular studio in any way, just a female?
The way it's created is very consciously created to create safety for women. And from every level of the moment you walk in, that we are creating a safe space for women. Because the body has to feel safe, to open, to be vulnerable, to all of that. So when you walk in, it's meant to feel like you're coming into a spa, and in the classroom, there are no mirrors. So you're not watching yourself from the outside in or trying to create some image of what sexy is. We're creating the space where, what feels sexy to me rather than what looks sexy.
I never even knew that. I always thought about sex, not just sex, actually the act. I remember the first few times I had sex, like in college, and I was like, this feels okay, but I guess I'm supposed to whip my head around and moan because that's what I've seen in the movie. So I would do that, but it was coming from such an external place. It wasn't coming from this genuine place. And
you had never been taught, so you were just
been taught
recreating from all the images.
Feel like, no one had ever even asked me what makes you feel sexy or what. It was like, I don't know what's supposed to make me feel sexy. I just didn't know. So I love that you say that. It's like creating it from an internal place. That's very, very, very personal.
Oh yes, the journey is an individual, personal experience. We close our eyes, especially in the beginning. And it's done in a dark room, so it's like you're in this womb type space. So, and we sit in a circle together, and, that's to be in the original way women are meant to be, in circles together.
Yeah.
Witnessing each other, holding gaze with each other, and supporting each other. I think it's how we truly are, but we have been trained and contorted out of that. To survive.
Yes.
Yeah, in this kind of very male or masculine-oriented world.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're 23, you're in this class, you're feeling juicy, you want to take on the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens next?
Well, the way our classes are is we do levels. So I was in level 1, and I think just pretty much by the second class, I was like, and it was like one of those knowings. It wasn't like ego, like I could teach this. It's
right.
Like, I can teach this.
Yeah.
Like, this is I can do this.
Yeah.
And I got approached by my teacher about halfway through level 1, and she said they were doing a teacher training, and would I be interested in applying? And I was like, oh my God, yes. I was, quite young, and I adored her. So I'm like, yes, anything. So that's what happened. And I just kind of, it was one of those moments where life is just taking you and you just go. You make the choice to just go. So I said, okay, I'll do this. And I did the training, and I did the teacher training, and I went into teaching within that, 6 months of taking my first class.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fast.
It was fast. And it went from being a student journey to a teaching journey, because I think that's just the way it was meant to be for me, was to go into guiding other women.
In the classroom, you were having all of this as a student and as a teacher, growth and discovery. How was that affecting you outside the classroom? What were you doing in your life? You were pursuing acting, I think. Okay.
God, the way it changed my life has been layers upon layers upon layers. And so I would say one of the first things it gave me was helping me to heal my relationship with women, which is funny, it is to feel sexy, and to feel empowered and to feel alive. But one of the greatest things I got was this community of women. And it's why people are obsessed, particularly with S Factor, I believe, is because of the community. And it's why people stay for a decade and beyond.
Yeah.
Because these women become your soul sisters, and you can't find them anywhere else, because it's the only place where women are truly supporting each other and seeing you from the inside out.
Yeah.
And excited for you and clapping for you and embracing your sensuality and your sexuality and your emotionality.
Yeah.
So that is actually one of the biggest things I got in the beginning, was having this community of women and remembering, oh, I want to be with women.
Yeah.
Why am I trying to be one with the boys?
Yeah.
I don't like them. I mean, in a friendship level, because I'm like, oh God, what are we talking about together?
Right.
I'm so bored.
I don't want to talk about sports.
I'm so bored. Yes. You know, but it also gave me a voice. That's really what it did.
Tell me more about that.
By sitting in that room and getting quiet, what we're doing is deeply listening to our body and deeply listening to the stories inside our body. By getting quiet and just breathing and feeling what it is my body had to say, I started to learn how I was actually feeling and what I was experiencing. And so it gave me a space to start to listen to how I felt. And it was kind of huge because I was always a good girl, you know, and would acquiesce, you know, and what do you want? Kind of a thing. And so it was a space where I wasn't asking, well, what do you want? I was asking, well, what do I want? And that was a journey and took, and I'm still, you know, really refining that.
Yeah.
But it opened up a space where I could start to know my own impulses, my own instincts, my own intuition, because that all lives in the body, you know. And I think I had always been interested in how to tap into that, but none of these other ways, whether it's through a yoga practice or through a spiritual practice, and even through acting, which is a creative spiritual practice, in my opinion, unlocked that for me the way moving my body in a really feminine, sensual, erotic way did. It was the missing piece.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I could listen to you talk for hours and almost just fall asleep to the sound of your voice. It's so soothing. Just like your baby boy's doing inside right now. We'll get to that in a minute. But so wow, okay, so you have all of this like for yourself, which is I think so key, because for me at that age and in those years, there was this looking for, what I'm trying to get to is you're meeting your husband, your now husband, who was, you know, so that when you met him, you had already done all this deep work on like nourishing yourself in this way. So what was that like when you met? And I know you guys weren't like together right away. I remember you telling me it wasn't like love at first sight or well, it was for him. It was for him. You were like, nah, I don't tell the story.
Well, yeah, we met on set and he was a camera operator and I was just doing a one-day spot for this movie. We met there and he asked me out at the end of the night and, you know, I was like, okay, sure. You know, it really was like that. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And no, it was not love at first sight. And it took me a while to get there, but that's very much the way I work. I'm not somebody I don't fall in love quickly. I fall into lust and obsession quickly. But I mean, truly, you know, and that always just fizzled out and burned me alive. But with him, it wasn't like that. It was very slow. And I so enjoyed his company and we had fun and we laughed. But it wasn't like this obsessive thing, which I had with prior relationships. It was a slow arrival, actually, there for me. And I don't know, are you wanting the whole story?
Yeah, give it. Yeah.
You know, I think for me, I fell in love with him slowly, and it took me a while to realize, you know, how amazing he was. I didn't know because he wasn't chaotic. He was very steady. He was just a really good man. And, you know, he would call when he called. You know, he would call when he said he would. He would always be there. Yeah. There was nothing turbulent. And I because there wasn't turbulence, I thought that I must not be in love.
Because prior to that, you'd been used to turbulence in your previous relationships.
Yes, I had been used to a lot of back and forth, a lot of fighting, a lot of jealousy.
Sure. So you thought that's what love was?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I really did. I thought the drama was love. I thought that feeling of pining and that feeling of
torture
and really of not being enough. Oh. It really was of, I don't feel like I'm enough, so I'm going to just constantly run after.
Which also goes back to what you were saying that you discovered in the dance class at S Factor, which is not what do you want, but what do I want? And in that lusting after someone else and thinking we're not enough, it's all about what they want. And we're just willing to I'm speaking for myself because I've done this before, throw ourselves under the bus at all costs.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Which is just, very unhealthy. Yeah. And it actually isn't love.
No, but we're taught that's what love is, I think, through movies.
Yeah, you're
right. And through television shows that there's conflict. And not that relationship doesn't have conflict, but that this kind of, that passion looks a certain way.
Yeah.
That passion can't also be something.
Yeah. And grounded.
Yeah. That it's a volcano spewing, or that we're not taught how to actually generate passion for ourselves, and we're seeking the other person to create the passion. And so I was using all these external ways to create a feeling of aliveness. It was the first time in a relationship where I wasn't asking for him to create the feeling of aliveness.
You had it in yourself.
Yeah, but it confused me. I thought that I did. It took me a while to catch up and realize, this is healthy.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I use that as a gauge now. So whenever I start to feel, I now know, there's something that's not turned on in me. And I'm seeking him to turn it on for me. So
when you say turned on, what do you mean?
For me, that means I go back to this word passion because I like to feel impassioned, and it means feeling. I want him to give me a purpose in life. It means I want. Means turned on is waking up and going, I'm excited about the day.
Juicy.
Yeah, it's juicy.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest thing is if I wake up and I don't feel excited, it's because I haven't plugged into something. I have a lot of ways that I know it looks like me watching TV in the middle of the day. That means I've turned off. It looks like me being on social media. For me personally, I know I'm turned on when I don't have as much tension in my body. When I start to feel my neck getting sore and it's hurting, I know, oh gosh, there's something I'm not addressing. There's something I'm shutting down.
That's so amazing that you just take ownership of that, because that is incredibly rare. It's really incredibly rare and wise of you and mature and amazing. And what a gift for your son that you're going to be passing that on to him.
Well, I've been lucky to have good teachers and mentors on my path.
I want to kind of skip to this year. I think it was 2015 was a big year for you. That was the year, I think, that you got engaged. You started your own online business, which I want to talk about. And your father got very sick.
Yeah, it was 2015 into 2016.
Right. And then you got married kind of at the end of that year.
I got married and then I got pregnant. It was a whirlwind. It was. It was a total whirlwind. I know. I'm still kind of like.
And I just, before you go into it, I watched you walk through the whole thing with immense grace. I mean, you didn't always feel great, but you just one step at a time. And beginning with, I think, it was sitting in this beautiful backyard. I remember being in dance class and you stepped out. You said, I'm sorry, guys, I have to step out. And Christina would never leave the dance class for any reason. You had to take a call from Brad, and you'd gotten this house after you'd, I think, lost another house, or, they've gone through that whole process of buying a house. You got this house, and it was just.
It was like the clouds parted.
Yes. Okay. So that year, I can't remember which thing happened first.
the reason getting the house, let me say, was such a huge blessing was because we had been living in this apartment in LA, and I was in agony.
I remember this.
I am a classic introvert, and I'm actually have noise sensitivity. Like it's like a thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what an HSP is?
No.
It's a highly sensitive person.
Oh, yes. I have heard of that. Yes.
And so noise it honestly hurts my body.
Yeah.
And when there's so much of it, it overstimulates me and I get really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so the only place I actually like sound is in the studio. It's funny. It's the only place I can tolerate that much loudness.
Yeah.
But I had been living in an apartment where I was in kind of a war with my downstairs neighbor.
Oh, that's the worst. I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the thing with the communal living. And I had just been, and for me, my home is such a place of safety, and it's where I go to really recharge. And so I think for about 2 years, I had been living in a place of just feeling like I had nowhere safe to go.
Oh.
We were looking for a way out of this. And so what began was that we went on this trip to Croatia, and that's where he proposed to me, and we got back, and that's when we started to look for a home. And we got this home, and we moved into the house in December. And I believe in February, I launched my online business. Either the beginning of July or late June, my father had a pretty severe stroke. And I got married in September. I went on my honeymoon. I got pregnant on my honeymoon.
Wow. I'm tearing up just remembering all of this unfolding. It was a lot.
It was so much. It was like every major life event was going to happen all at one time.
And your dad, I just have to say, he pushed through. And I am going to tear up again because I was very fortunate to be at your wedding, which was one of the most beautiful weddings ever. And your dad walked you down the aisle, and it was just exquisite.
Yeah.
It was just exquisite.
Yeah,
the love coming from both of you and the pride pouring out of him and your mom.
Yeah, that was the walk of a lifetime. Yeah, we didn't know if, first of all, I was going to even have my wedding, because we weren't sure if he was going to be able to come, because he had lost the use of his left side of his body. We just didn't know, and we didn't know if we had to cancel the wedding. I was not going to have it without him. There was just no way around it. There was no negotiating that, so I think from then into September, I was just in a constant state of anxiety.
Yeah. You were holding your breath that whole time.
Yes. I don't think I breathed. The leading up to my wedding was not the typical experience. And I really tried. I tried to enjoy it, but it was agonizing.
Yeah.
Because I was there thinking about my dad.
And flying back and forth, I remember, to see him in Maryland.
Yeah, I was trying to plan my wedding. That may or may not happen, but I was still planning it. And then flying back to help him and my mom and my sister. Yeah.
But then they were all here.
Then they were here, and he walked me down, and I don't think there was a dry eye.
There certainly wasn't.
It was pretty spectacular.
It was profound.
Beautiful.
It was amazing. Not to mention the ceremony, and then it was a very special day. I'm so grateful I was able to be here and witness it. So then you went on your honeymoon to Bali.
We did.
And I just love this part of the story because I think it's so magical. Everywhere you went in Bali, once you told me you were pregnant several months later, all the Balinese would sort of bless both of you and say, "We hope for you a baby." I'm messing it up, but how did it go?
Well, in Bali, it's extremely family oriented. Everything's about the family in Bali. So when we were there, and
don't mind me.
I love it.
Wiping my nose with my shirt because I don't have a tissue. I'm just gonna let everyone know that.
Oh yeah,
there's so much sniffling and crying. But now we're gonna talk about the baby. So yes,
yeah.
Start over. So in Balinesian, yes, in Balinese. Polynesian. Oh my God, it sounds so stupid.
No. I don't actually know what it is.
I don't either. No, I have to look it up, but it certainly isn't Polynesian. My God, Jennifer. I think it's Balinese, but we're going to look it up. Okay. Anyway, in Bali, while you were there.
Yes. So in Bali, family is everything. It's the bedrock of their culture. Their everything is family first. And so when we were there and we would tell people we're on our honeymoon, they would always be like, "Oh, that's so great. We hope you make a baby."
And what was your reaction, you and Brad? Were you kind of like, "Oh, that's sweet, but we're not really"?
I mean, it was.
Were you guys officially trying to, or were you just? Yeah.
Not at all.
Right.
It's the last thing from my mind.
But you did want to have children. You did want to be a mom.
I did want to be a mom, but we were planning to wait about a year and just, recoup our finances.
Sure.
Just chill out for a second after this year.
Sure.
But I was, when they would say it to us, it was with such sweetness and innocence that it was so endearing. You couldn't help but be, taken by it. Sure. So every time they would say it, it was quite wonderful. And so, we would get, I must have heard it about 6 or 7 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then we
came home, and that really was the plan. I even said to him, "Brad, we are going to chill out. Okay? We're not going to,
Yeah.
And
surprise,
like 2 weeks afterwards.
You're not going to chill out.
Yeah, I know. I was you would have thought I was unhappy about it because it was so shocking.
Yeah.
But I knew instantly.
Yeah.
I knew. And I walked into the kitchen and was like, "I think I'm pregnant."
And what was his reaction?
Shock.
Yeah.
But underneath his shock was a lot of excitement. I could see he was really excited.
Yeah.
And like, "Oh, we can make it work. We can do this."
Oh.
And he was filming a movie at that time. And so I went to go get a pregnancy test just to confirm what I already knew.
Yeah.
And I took the test and I was indeed pregnant. And I called him, and he was filming a movie where he was dressed up as a woman.
Oh my gosh. I never knew this story.
Yes. He was dressed up as a woman, and he was like full on wig and everything, female clothing and makeup. And I was like, "We can't do this over the phone. I have to FaceTime you." So then he FaceTimes me, and I see him, and I go, I was like, "Oh my God, we can't FaceTime. Let's call each other back."
Because you didn't want to do it with Tootsie or Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
That is hysterical.
Yeah. And so I told him while he was on set, and we just didn't look back. It was like, okay, I guess this has been the whirlwind year, and
it continues.
You either go with it, or you fight it. So I was going with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my gynecologist saying to me, "You're on this train and you're not getting off." At some point, I can't remember what it was. I can't remember during my pregnancy, and I was like, "Wow, that's a really amazing and scary thing to say to somebody." But you're right.
You know what's funny is when I was in labor, that's what my doula said to me, because I was so scared that it wasn't really happening and I was going to stop the labor somehow. She was like, "It's safe to say that this train is leaving." Something like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You chose to have an at-home birth.
I did.
You really wanted that. You got to have it.
Yes.
And what was it like?
It was sublime. Incredible. It was amazing. And I couldn't have asked for a better birth and a better pregnancy as well. I feel extremely lucky and grateful for my birth experience. But it was very created with intention and choice. I knew I didn't want to be in a hospital. I had several friends who had an at-home birth too. So it wasn't outrageous to me. It wasn't so out of the norm. I mean, it was out of the norm for everybody else I talked to about it, And I was kind of secretive about it because I just needed to create as a safe little bubble.
Yes.
For my experience.
Well, and it's interesting. I'll just speak to that. It's amazing how many people with, I think, well-meaning intentions.
Yes.
when they learn that you're pregnant, they want to give you their opinion, and it's not always helpful.
No, it's not. And it's funny. I'm going to take it back to the S Factor experience for me. This journey I took was learning to listen to my own voice. And it's something that I have to hold on to sometimes viciously.
Yeah.
Because everyone's really eager to put their voice on top of you.
Yeah. Especially once the baby comes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, through reading things and everything, you can start to not be able to hear yourself anymore. And so that was the reason why I didn't want to bring it up, is because I really needed to have my own voice in this experience and be able to hear myself. Yes, everybody wants to tell you, and I'm not as good at keeping that boundary up of not letting it. But I had a home birth, and it was amazing. I'm like a big advocate for it if you're if you're healthy and you're the right choice for it, or if it's the right choice for you is actually what I mean.
Yes.
Because I really wanted to be able to move. I wanted to not be on a bed. I wanted to move my body and feel comfortable in my own home and be, have my shower, my bed, whatever I wanted to wear. I wanted to be able to eat if I wanted to eat.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times in the hospital, they don't want you to eat.
Right.
It was just me, my husband, the 2 midwives, and then my doula. And it was, people have such funny conceptions about birth, I think.
Would you include yourself in that prior to this experience?
I just didn't know. All I knew what was happened on TV.
Sure.
And so television is just, this is like a PSA for everybody. It's not what birth is like.
Yeah.
It's not at all.
Yeah.
And there are a spectrum of experiences.
Yes.
And so that's what you have to know.
Yeah.
Is that.
And every birth is so unique.
Yes. There's going to be someone who does have a 3-day labor. Yeah. And that is within the spectrum of normal.
Yes.
And then there's going to be somebody who has a 4-hour labor.
That was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the spectrum of normal. Yeah. And so I think you only see on TV that it's a horrible experience.
Yeah.
You only see on TV that it's agonizing and awful and it happens to you.
Yeah.
And so with my birth, I wanted to be a really active participant in it. I wanted to be part of it. I did. And you can't know anything about it until it happens.
It's all unfolds as it's unfolding. And even though we are told, and it's good to have a birth plan, but even that, it's like your doula said to you, this train has left the station and we're on it together and it's happening, and just, and letting it go. And I remember meeting up with you after your son was born, and I said, how was the birth? Do you mind telling me about it? And you just beamed, and you said, in your fatigue and in the new mom and in the sleeplessness and in all of it, you beamed and you said, it was stunning. And then you also shared with me how involved in the birth your husband was and how present he was for you. And that was so beautiful. And also just for me as a witness, a continuation of the relationship I've watched you both have together. And that's so beautiful.
He was a rock star, I have to say. He was pretty amazing. I mean, we were lucky to have a really great, you take the birthing classes before. And so I took it from this woman who has been doing this for 40, 50 years, these classes. And so she was really old school. The class really, I don't know if it really taught us anything, but it was a great class because her one thing that she kept on going to the husbands was, your only role is to make her feel like she knows exactly what to do.
Wow. That is, yes.
You don't give her any advice. Don't tell her what to do. You are just there to make her feel like she knows what to do.
So that advice that the birthing teacher gave is so great for anyone, any partner, man or woman, like just holding someone else in a partnership.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is actually. It's profound advice for life for your partner, because I think that we want to just dive in and be like, well, I can tell you what to do. And I feel that way all the time with Brad. I'm like, I can make you a step-by-step plan right now. If you let me direct your life.
Yep, I'll fix everything. And I'll make you a bologna sandwich on the side.
Yeah. But it's incredibly disempowering.
Yes.
And it goes back to that same thing where I'm always trying to find my own voice.
Yes.
I'm trying to find my true north. If someone else is always coming in for the rescue, you can't discover. So I think he really took that in. And he just was, to me, the picture of masculinity, of being solid, unwavering. Because I was being taken. You know, the thing about labor is you have to get taken.
Yeah.
You have to get taken by the feeling. You have to get taken by the surges of the contractions. And so it's huge. It's emotional. It's physical. It's just the ocean crashing down. And if there's not something in there that's being the support, you know, then it all kind of, the whole room will go crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had my midwives who were absolutely being that role, but there's something about your partner and your husband being that person that just makes you feel so safe.
Yeah.
And so that's what he was. It was, so whenever I'm mad at him, I think about that moment when he just was solid.
Yeah. What a beautiful foundation to bring your son into the world in that womb, the womb of that bond that you have. And so your son was born and you held him for the first time. And what was that like?
God.
You're still so close to it.
It's
like,
well, you know,
because her son just turned 1.
He did. He just turned 1. You know, when they put him in my arms, that was actually the moment before I had him that I was most excited for, because I had watched all these birthing videos, and you know, every time in the video the baby comes out and the mom is like, oh my god, you know, and crying, and I'm crying while watching the video. I'm like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. And then it happened, and I was just stunned.
Yeah,
I didn't have the experience I thought I was going to have, where I would just break down crying, actually. And the moment was so big, I don't even remember having emotion.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh my God, I had put so much time and intention into the birth. And then all of a sudden there's a baby. And I was like, I'm not prepared for this moment. Love it. You know, like, I was like, shoot, this is what you should really prepare for. So I was in shock, I think. And I had actually never seen a baby that young before.
Sure.
I hadn't been around babies. So there was also the, oh my God, they look funny.
Yeah.
This is like not the PC answer at all. I'm supposed to be saying, oh my God, I was filled with so much love.
There's no PC. It's C. It's correct because it's real.
It's real. Yeah.
My son's nose was all smashed, which mine was as well. And my mom, just a quick trivia, my mom had also what's called a speedster birth. Her labor was, I think, 3 or 4 hours. And my nose was all smushed to one side. And my son's nose was too. And they pop out.
Yeah.
But from going through the birth canal, I guess, so quickly, or I don't know, but his face was all smooshed.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So they look funny.
Yeah. Oh, God. But I was in bliss, actually, for the first 3 days because I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
I was so proud of myself for doing it.
Yeah.
And I actually, he cracked my tailbone coming out.
That's right. Oh, I remember that.
I know. So
I say it like it happened to me.
Well,
just
that's your empathy.
Me.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought, oh God. So you had to probably sit on a donut.
I was
pillow.
I was in so much pain from it. Yeah.
Well, could you sit? Could you only lay?
I had to be on my side.
Oh.
So that posed a lot of challenges, but I'm a really kind of grin and bear it kind of person sometimes. So I don't think I ever really acknowledged how much pain I was truly in.
Oh.
because I was just trying to, do the whole mom thing.
Oh.
But looking back now, I'm like, I was in so much pain.
Oh, I bet.
And I was just trying to not be in physical pain.
Yeah.
Trying so hard,
Oh.
To not feel that. But now I'm like, God, that must have been why it was so hard. I mean, it was hard because it's hard.
Yeah.
I truly didn't realize that it was even harder because I couldn't pick him up.
Oh.
I couldn't put him down without it being really agonizing. It was like I had gotten a C-section,
Oh.
and your abdomen is healing, but instead it was my tailbone. And so I couldn't breastfeed without it being comfortable.
Yeah.
I was always kind of, I couldn't sit in the car without
God.
it.
How long was it before you started to feel?
About 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it takes a long time to heal. Yeah.
And how is it now?
It's totally fine.
Okay. Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. So it did heal, but
6 months though, that adds a whole other layer of. And did you have any postpartum depression or anxiety or?
Yeah. And I still question about what that was because it was, not that long ago. And I was definitely down. And I don't know enough about postpartum depression, if any kind of feeling blue and depressed is in the umbrella of postpartum depression. What's funny is I don't know what's normal.
Right.
I don't know. I'm like, well, people tell me it's normal to be sad, but how sad?
Right.
And if I'm happy at one moment, does that mean I'm okay? Because there would be days where I'm like, I'm fine. And then there would be days where I wasn't. I was absolutely not fine. There's just an ambiguity around what the experience is. And so for me, I absolutely had moments of devastating depression, and it was situational. My body was hurting and he was a colicky boy. And, my husband does travel for work. So he was, gone in the beginning parts for it. So I was alone. It's funny now I say it and I'm like, well, God, if my friends had that, I'd be like, girl, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
But it's
just
so
did it.
hard to know.
Yeah. It's so hard to know and you're so isolated. So in those moments, those depressed, dark moments, or those days when you said there were days when you weren't fine, what did that feel like? What does not fine feel like?
It felt like lots of crying. It felt like loneliness, like there's nothing. It felt like doubt, a lot of doubt.
Yeah.
It felt like I don't know what I'm doing. It felt like, it felt like I'm not good enough.
And did you ever at any point think, I may need some outside help with this, or?
I did think about it a lot. I had been in therapy in the past, so it wasn't something that was unusual for me to consider. I'm a big advocate for, therapy and getting help, but I don't know, there was just something where I felt so bound. And I did, I reached out and I considered it and I thought about it, but I felt, God, I don't know, like immovable.
Did it feel, and I might be imposing my own thing on this because it took me 3 years to get help for my postpartum, which mine rolled into just regular postpartum. It's only considered postpartum, I believe, and I can ask my gynecologist, who's actually going to be coming on the show, when you're breastfeeding or like in the early stages of the child's life. But so mine went on until he was 3. But when he was little, for me, and this doesn't sound like what you were going through, I was in a lot of denial that was what was actually happening. I thought mine was situational depression. I thought it was because I wasn't doing it right, which is part of the postpartum depression, I now know. But so, and I also, to speak to what you just said of feeling bound and feeling immovable, I just couldn't add another thing to my plate. I just couldn't add another.
Well, I think for me, a lot of it was around perfectionism. Yeah. Yeah, God, that
resonates for me. I get that.
Yeah, around I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
I should be able to soothe my baby. I should just know how to do this, as if there's some magical thing that happens after you give birth. Boom, you're a mom, like the ones on television from the 50s who just were able to do it. This image, and I know, like I can consciously know that's ridiculous, but it's so woven into my psyche.
Yes.
That I still want to be that. I still want to be that perfect mom.
Yeah.
Who can do it all.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of it was around maintaining my own image of perfection. And so asking for help would be surrendering to that, and so that's what a lot of it felt like to me.
And so then, because now your son is 1 and you're still in the thick of it. Are you still breastfeeding?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
So how are you feeling now? How is the emotion? How is if there's anxiety?
Yeah, it's definitely better.
Yeah.
Like profoundly better. And it's still hard.
Yeah.
It's still so hard. And but it's nothing like that newborn phase. Yeah. That newborn phase is nothing I ever want to do again,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't want more children, but I was at the store and I saw something for a newborn baby, like, I don't know, like a swaddler type of thing. And inside my head, I thought, thank God. That's over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I only have 1 child, but I have heard that the second one is so much easier because you already have this experience.
I bet. I believe that, because I think what is the challenge is your own doubt in your own mind going, I don't know, am I doing this? Yeah. Oh gosh, do I?
Yeah.
And then you learn, oh God, they're just babies. They're just a freaking mystery, and they're complicated, and they cry, and it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
But it's impossible to know that on your first.
It really is. Yeah.
It's impossible.
Nothing can prepare you. No books. I read every book there was. I read every book there was on sleep training because I thought if I knew about sleep training, and he slept fine, like he really did. But if I knew about sleep training the right way, then it would solve every problem there was that I had. Or that I was just like, but I was, anyway.
Yeah.
So just, wow. And I'm 9 years out from it. And it just still is so fresh in my mind of how hard it was.
Well, I think about that. And something that I would have really liked is the space and permission to be a first-time mom. And so, a lot of, again, well-meaning and well-intentioned people say stuff. And like we say, there's no way to avoid those feelings of being a first-time mom. Yeah. I think we can help each other. We can prepare. We can have things like this where we talk about our experiences. I think saying to a mom, it's okay. It's okay if you feel like you've got to get it right. Go ahead. Try to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I really don't think you can stop her from trying to do that. So all you can do is continually be there and support her and show up for her and not leave her. It
goes back to what your birthing teacher said.
Yeah. You make her feel like she knows.
Yeah.
And that's really what she needs.
Yeah.
It's because there's just a cacophony.
Yeah.
Cacophony?
Yep. Nailed it. Nailed it on the second take, Christina Grance.
Yeah, I wish that you get comments like, oh, you're not going to do that the second time around. And you're like, that's not helpful. Yeah. It's actually really rude.
Not going to do what the second time around?
Like anything. It's like, oh, you won't worry about that so much. Or the sterilizing of the bottles or things like that, and being insane about the germs and you know what? I probably won't. But
someone said to me something like, because people would ask me when my son was like 6 months old, you can have another one? You can have another one? And they said to me, don't listen to those people. That's like them. You're in the middle of a 5-star meal at a 5-star restaurant, and they come up to you and ask you, are you ready for your next meal? You ready? Finish that one up. Finish it. Eat it. And I was like, that's so true. Like, let me be in this.
Yeah.
I'm still in the middle of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's so funny. So I want to just also jump Oh my God, our time has flown. I just could talk to you for hours.
Let's do it. He's sleeping.
I love it. Thank you, King. I call her son a king because he is. The moment I met him, I said, oh, he's a king. He is a king. He's not a prince. He's a king.
He's a king.
I want to jump to your online business because I think it's so cool how you arrived at it. So this was before you even got pregnant, you launched this. So can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to do it, what it is, what inspired you to do it?
Well, I have a business, a lingerie company called Serpent Lane, and it's an online boutique. And
what's the website? We'll mention it again at the end.
Yeah. The website is serpentlane.com. Yes. And I started because part of the journey at studio that I teach at is that we dress up and we wear clothing that makes us feel good and that excites us. And so, a lot of times people will wear, like a sexy, shirt or a sexy bra, whatever it is. And so it was kind of a natural expanding of what I do because I wanted to create something for women where they could shop for that stuff and not feel sleazy doing it, or, because a lot of times you might go to one of those sites and you don't feel connected to the models on there, or you feel like they feel different from you, and so I wanted to create something that was more inclusive and that was simultaneously exciting as well as safe, which is a funny dichotomy. So that's what I did. I created a place for women to shop for lingerie that was exciting and had naughty clothing, and because the site is mostly, I would say a heightened state of lingerie. It's not like the bra you wear under your shirt, although you can.
Yeah.
And certainly I do.
Yes.
But it's not like a t-shirt bra that leaves no lines.
Right.
This leaves lines.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of, I've done a lot of shopping on this site. I can't recommend it highly enough. And I have many, many pairs. I can't believe I'm going to reveal this on my podcast, but I have many pair of crotchless panties. I'm not wearing any now, but I might be the next time you see me. Oh, yay. And you won't know it, but I will.
I don't know. We might know now.
But you and I had a conversation about this one time. And in fact, it was when you were pregnant.
Yeah.
And we talked about what that does for you, for someone, wearing crotchless panties or something like that, some kind of clothing that's along the line, some kind of lingerie that is a little naughty, that's underneath their day-to-day clothes, and what that does for them. And that circles back to what you're saying of nurturing this sort of inner sexiness that comes from what you personally, from what each individual feels is sexy or makes them feel sexy.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think that the idea of wearing a panty that you have no intention of anybody ever seeing.
Yep. It's just for you.
Yeah, it's completely for you. Yeah. And what does that do for you?
Yeah.
And, if it doesn't do anything for you, then I'd say you haven't found the right panty.
Right. Keep looking.
Then you keep looking.
And don't wear jeans, though, with the crotchless panties.
No.
It's got to be a skirt or soft cotton pants. I'll have an online PDF of the list of clothing that you can wear. Crotchless
panties. Know. Maybe somebody would like that.
That's true. You're right. Excuse me. I should let them find
yes.
what's pleasurable.
Let them find their own voice.
That's right. Within their vagina. With that, I am going to, it's time to ask you the 3 questions that I ask every guest. The first question, Christina Grance, is what do you think about when you hear the word MILF?
Jennifer Tracy.
Okay. What is something you've changed your mind about recently?
Well, actually, I was just kind of going through, just seeing what sparked first in my mind. I wasn't, because there was nothing, but I think I've changed my mind about what a mom looks like. Because I was definitely someone who I think maybe didn't have as much respect for it. I was part of the matrix, is what I call it, you know, and not seeing this this invisible job.
Yeah. What a great, I've never heard it described like that. That's,
it's invisible.
Yeah.
You know, and we pay a lot of homage in a way through lip service, but it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not this real respect. And so I have changed my point of view, and I have such deep respect. I mean, the world would be in shambles.
Yeah. Truly.
Yeah.
How do you define success?
Success is honoring the call of your wild heart.
Okay, so now we're going to go to our lightning round questions. They're just quick little throwaways. You just answer the first thing that comes to you. Beach or desert?
Beach.
Netflix binge or a fresh novel?
Oh, I feel bad, but Netflix binge.
Go to the movies or go to a play?
Movies.
Daytime sex or nighttime sex?
Nighttime.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Cat person or dog person?
Both.
Massage or yoga?
Oh, massage.
Shower or bathtub?
Shower.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at making lasagna?
0.
If you could push a button and have perfect skin for the rest of your life, but it would also give you incurable halitosis for the rest of your life, would you push it?
Oh, God, no.
Superpower choice, there's 3. Invisibility, ability to fly, or super strength.
Super strength.
Would you rather have a penis where your tailbone is,
God.
or a third eye?
Oh my God, if you could see my face.
Of shock. It's shock coupled with disgust, coupled with awe.
Well, okay, I'm gonna have to explain this one, because a part of me is like, well, it'd be kind of interesting to see what it would feel like to have a penis. Since I don't have one, I could, you know, be in their experience. But then you say third eye, and I just think you mean like a third eye, like
a literal third eye.
Yeah, I know, but I'm taking it like the spiritual third eye.
Okay, you make it mean what you want.
Okay, so I'm going to take a spiritual third eye.
Got it. Spiritual third eye. I love it. I love how you transformed that. What was the name of your first pet?
You know, I never had a pet. I had a goldfish for one day that I won and then killed, you know.
How did you kill it?
I didn't know. I don't think my family knew that you had to have like air in the tank, you know, like we just put them in water.
Right.
So I think we suffocated it, right? Don't they need like the bubbles?
What was this poor son of a bitch's name?
I don't remember, but it was the name of the street that I won the fish. So I think it was something like St. John or that.
Okay. And what was the name of the street you grew up on?
Greens Point.
So your porn name is St. John Greens Point.
Oh, God. It's an awful, awful porn name. I don't want to watch that porn.
It's not very sexy.
I'm not a successful porn star.
Christina Grance, you are a goddess and just a gift to momhood and to us all. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. Head on over to milfpodcast.com. Give us your email so we can keep you apprised of all things MILFy. And also, you can get show notes, transcripts of each show, and tweetable quotes if something resonated with you and you want to tweet it. Thanks so much for listening.